Awesome. All right. Welcome everyone to our eResources 101 webinar. This is our Read, Watch, and Listen part one. I'm going to introduce everyone before we begin. Today we have with us Jessica Knock, who's a manager in library development services. We have myself, Duncan Latosky. I'm the librarian in the department here. And we also have Penelope Dolphin, library technician in the department, and Laura Peters. So today's session is going to be really great. We're going to do a quick overview of your library's e-resources before we go into the focus of our session today. And that is going to be on 5 of our e-resources, which include AudioBookCloud, Cloud Library, Hoopla, Libby, and a little bit of Overdrive, I believe, and Read Alberta books and magazines. And then at the very end, we will take some questions and we can have some discussion. Awesome. So for those who aren't familiar, YRL has 32 e-resources available to users. We select and deselect these on a variety of different factors. There is a lot of collaboration when we do select e-resources or when we're choosing to deselect. Access to these, and I'm going to show you this in a second, is under your e-resources tab on your library website. And then from there, you can filter by format or topic. To access most of our e-resources, not all of them, but most of them, you're going to need to authenticate with your barcode and PIN, which is the 4-digit library PIN that you use for your track membership cards. And then we also have lots of content and resources specific to our e-resources on the intranet. So things like training materials, statistics, and promotional materials as well. So let's take a look at those before we go on. So this is just an example of, this is Blue Ridge, of one of our library websites. To get to the e-resources, you're going to go to the e-resources tab here. And from here, it's going to have an alphabetical list of all of our e-resources. And these are actually categorized, and we can filter them using the limiters on the side here. So if we're looking for eBooks specifically, or maybe music-based e-resources, we can select these and filter based on that. And same goes for the different topics as well. On our intranet, if you go under the collections tab, there is an e-resources link. And clicking on that is going to bring you to a whole bunch of information specific to our e-resources. So there's link to some statistics. Our statistics archive is here. And then we have links to different training and promotional materials for our resources. Some are brochures, and some will bring you to almost like wiki pages of the website for the resources. So definitely something to check out if you're looking to become more familiar, or if you're looking to help users with specific questions. All right, we're going to pass this over now to Jessica, who's going to start with AudioBookCloud.
Great, thank you, Duncan. Going to mute you there. All right, so I get to dive into the first e-resource of the day, which is called AudioBookCloud. So I have to admit, this is not one that I had really experimented with a lot personally. I didn't know a whole lot about it, so it was a great opportunity for me to dive into this resource and learn a little bit more about it. I'm going to share my screen here. Actually, Duncan, if you want to just pop over to the next one, I'll share my screen in a minute. I'll tell you a little bit about AudioBookCloud, and then we'll jump in and have a look at it. So AudioBookCloud offers a small selection. By small, there's over 1,000, but it is relatively small selection of audiobooks that are available in a wide variety of genres and for a wide variety of age groups. The benefits of AudioBookCloud is that there's no wait and there's no special software to download. There is an app that you can download for AudioBookCloud, but I did a little bit of experimenting this morning. The experience on the app And the experience of just downloading looking at the book in my browser was exactly the same. What you see on the screen right now is a screen cap that I took on my phone this morning. And when I went in and looked at the same list on my computer, it literally looked the exact same. So really, really easy to use. There's also no weights for any of the items that are in here, which is a nice change from Libby, where we know that we often have long waits to listen to the audiobooks or read the ebooks that are on Libby. So no checkouts, no wait lists, no downloads. It's very simple. It's simple to use, but it doesn't have a really amazing selection. There are not any bestsellers on here. It is a good kind of backup audiobook database for someone who wants something right now, doesn't want to deal with Libby, doesn't want to wait for something on Libby, or feels overwhelmed by Libby. This is a nice entry point into audiobooks for people to use. Yeah, so I see the comment in the chat here from Dareth. Dareth said, I'm still waiting for Lord of the Rings audiobook on Libby that I placed on hold last year. Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear. When we get to the Libby presentation, maybe talk a little bit about why those holds are so long. I mean, it's because these audiobooks to purchase on Libby are so expensive. So we don't actually purchase individual titles. We don't even get to curate the collection on AudioBookCloud. We get what we get and we don't complain. It is very, very inexpensive for YRL to purchase every year. And so that's why we have this as an add-on for people who are just kind of wanting to browse around, see what's out there, looking for a little bit of something if they need it. And so why is no download a pro? Do people need to use their data if they're in the car? Yes, they would. So it's a pro for those people who are at home and don't want to or don't know how to deal with apps or any extra technological piece. So you're right, Erna, you'd have to use data if you're in the car because you just can't download the books. Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to hop into AudioBookCloud. So I'm going to share my screen. So Duncan, I'll be taking control away from you. Sorry, my mouse is being a little funny right now. Bear with me. There we go. My mouse is being a little nuts. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to pop out of the PowerPoint presentation here. Oops. Sorry, everyone. Too many screens open. Okay. So you hop into this digital content just like you would at any other digital e-resource. I actually started with the Spruce Grove Public Library and then hop into AudioBookCloud. And I've already logged in. I pre-logged into this, but it would be asking me for my barcode and my track ID and password. And as you can see, the screenshot that I put on the slide is exactly the same as what we're seeing on the screen here with a selection of materials. So the searching on here is quite rudimentary. You can search for classics, for nonfiction, for children, etc. There's an index on here if you want an A to Z list of all of the books that are available on AudioBookCloud. There is a favorites tab. So you are able to select books that are your favorites. Another downside to this, I'm not really pumping this database up too much, am I? I have to say, I wasn't overly impressed. I'm going to be asking about it when we start to do some of our renewals. Your favorites only save on the browser that you are using at the time. So if you've saved a favorite or you've saved a bookmark on your computer browser, hoping you can log in on your phone and get the same bookmarks or favorites, it won't work. It's cached within the tool that you're actually using. All right, so you can look at an A to Z list of all of the titles here. And that is about it for AudioBookCloud. The one other pro that I did see besides very easy to use is that it's a great place to go and get some of the classics. So if someone wants to get those books that are out of copyright and that are easy for publishers to access, their list of classics on here is quite good if people want to listen to these audiobooks. So that is all I have with regards to AudioBookCloud. Are there any questions or comments? All right.
And all right, just gonna go back a couple here. There we are. Okay, so Cloud Library. This is one that I had used a little bit in the past. So I had a little bit of experience with it, but it was limited. So being that I was going to be presenting this eResource, it was really actually very eye-opening and in a good way, to explore Cloud Library much more deeply as to what is available. So just as a very basic summary, you can get both ebooks and digital audiobooks from Cloud Library. They are downloadable to your computer and your mobile device, so slightly different than AudioBookCloud in that respect. So if you wanted to download it onto your phone, which is something I do pretty frequently, is I will listen to it in my car via Bluetooth. So for me, that's definitely a plus. Or I might 2 hours later go for a walk and it's still on my mobile device, and I don't lose my place either, which is pretty nice. So again, it keeps all your books in sync on all devices. So regardless of whether I was on my iPad, whether it was in a desktop version or on my smartphone, everything is synced, which is super convenient. I'm going to go onto the site very briefly as well to kind of show you this, but one-click category selection is super handy. That way, it's just much easier to navigate the actual site or app at any time that you're on it, and it just makes the access to borrowing a little bit easier. The nice thing about Cloud Library as well is it is compatible with not only Apple, but with Android and Amazon Fire if you have that tablet to use. So I'm just going to go to what it looks like. And again, you're going to access from the exact same. I'm on the Leduc Public Library website. And in order to locate this, you can either just literally follow it through the alphabetized listing, or you can actually click on the letter that the eResource starts with. So in this case, it's Cloud Library. And I'm just going to open it up here. I should also be signed in. I've previously signed into this. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can look for items in their library. Oh. Oh, okay, I'm just going to go to the one that I was in previously. So there's a number of different ways. So you can either check on featured. Oh, come on. Did I sign out somehow? Oh, what's happening? There we go. Okay. I don't know why featured isn't coming up. There should actually be a listing of, they're actually book lists that we contribute to. So there's book lists that are themed that each of the regions post on Cloud Library every couple of months, so that the content is always really fresh and easy to source. If you were looking for something that was kind of Pride related, for example, being that it is Pride Month. I'm not sure why it's not showing up. Do I? Oh, thank you. God love you both. Okay. Here we go. Thank you. So here we go. And these are actually some of the lists that we had put together. So these change frequently enough that it keeps it nice and fresh. And there's not only just adult material in here, that you can see there's material here for kids as well. Or you can click the browse section. And this is super handy, especially if you want something really pretty specific. So if you were looking at adult fiction, which is where my default is, for example, and I want to read some magical realism, then I can see what Cloud Library has up for grabs. So as you can see, there's a pretty good selection. Bestsellers, not always available on Cloud Library. It's pretty limited, particularly in comparison to something like Libby. I don't even know if you can really compare the two, truth be told. There's very little in the way of like brand new material, or at least bestseller brand new material. But there's still a pretty robust selection of titles overall. In fact, I was pretty happily surprised. Previously, I had the assumption that there was maybe lesser of a selection than there was, but once I really started to dig a little bit, I was happily surprised that I might not have. I wasn't giving it a fair go. So granted, okay, I just look for gardening and teen nonfiction. So it's not going to be something in every single one of the categories. So just because the category is displayed does not mean that there is going to be something in every category. So you can see here for the LGBTQ section in nonfiction for teens, there's a couple of different titles that they can choose. They are all ebooks. But if there was a mishmash of both formats within that category, it will show a little icon in the bottom right corner of each book cover. I guess probably the biggest con for Cloud Library again is just the selection overall. It is somewhat limited. I still think there's enough there for anybody that is again in that conundrum of waiting longer periods of time for titles in Libby or Hoopla. And this is a nice alternative. There's definitely great options here of titles that will keep you interested, at least in the interim, while you're waiting for some of the other eResources to produce your holds. There's also some titles in here that will sometimes only provide you with a 7-day checkout. So it's almost similar to some libraries where they do like a hot titles to go kind of thing, where instead of getting it for 3 weeks, you only get it for 7 days. So definitely good to point out to patrons that if they are not a super fast reader, which would be me, that's not going to work. and you may or may not be able to renew the items. So it's something to keep in mind with this. You can also add things to different titles to this My Book section if you wanted. And I'm just going to give you a look at what it looks like, at least on the browser. It really looks very similarly on a mobile device. That's also something, as Jessica had mentioned, doesn't really change a whole lot. So this was a graphic novel that I found, being that that's one of my passions is graphic novels. And as you can see, it's super readable. It's very, the interface is really easy to use. And I was also really happy to see that there is a graphic novel selection on the I think it was in the browse section. So, and there was not only teen graphic novels as well as adult. So overall, I think this is a perfectly fine e-resource. It's maybe not going to contain everything that everybody wants, but that's not really a bad thing, because if we were all waiting for the same 5 titles on the same e-resource, we would all grow old and weary waiting for the same 5 titles. So this is a nice alternative option. And who are we on to next?
It is now me.
All right, Duncan.
So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go. Oh, always brings me to the start. We're going to go on to Hoopla next. And Hoopla is a really interesting one. This was actually a good opportunity for me to refamiliarize myself with Hoopla. But Hoopla allows users to borrow many different types of materials. We have things like audiobooks, ebooks, comics, movies, television, and even music. They also have this thing that is called a binge pass. And what a binge pass is it gives users access to an entire collection of digital content at the cost of one borrow. So some binge pass items might be things like Hoopla magazines, or they have the Great Courses as a binge pass, or Hellosaurus, which is like an interactive story platform. So that's one unique thing about Hoopla. To log into Hoopla, you do have to create an account, but you're only creating that account with your library card, barcode, and PIN. And once you create that account, like it's just saved in my browser. So every time I log in, I'm just automatically logged into Hoopla. And there are apps available for Hoopla as well for iOS and Android. Or you can do it on your computer browser, either or works. But Hoopla works a little bit different than other e-content resources, being that, oh, Dareth, Hoopla is also on Roku. Awesome. That is good to know. Thank you for that. But Hoopla is a little bit different in that we do not select the individual content on Hoopla like we might do on Overdrive or Cloud Library. Instead, from our Hoopla subscription, we have access to Hoopla's collection of e-content that is updated and curated by the Hoopla team. So that makes borrowing a little bit unique. Patrons would receive credits for their borrows. So they get 4 instant borrows per month, and all of those items are noted with the lightning bolt icon. And you get 3 flex borrows per month, which is the little arrow symbol there. These are refreshed at the start of each month. Instant borrows are for the titles that are always immediately available. So those simultaneous use titles, there's no holds, there's no waiting. You can just, you see it available, you can get access to it. And the flex borrows, those are the ones that are not simultaneous use. So those are only one person at a time. And then if all of those copies are out, you're going to be put on a wait list, and that actually is indicated on those titles as well. So you can see if that copy is currently out once we're in Hoopla. Another interesting feature of Hoopla is the kids mode. So you can restrict content that is suitable for a 12 and under audience. And you can even set a PIN so that Hoopla is always on kids mode. And then to get out of kids mode, you enter in your little password PIN. I'll briefly go over just some of the hold intricacies before we get into the actual resource itself. There's 4 different types of holds. There's the waiting hold, which is your traditional hold, meaning you're in line to access the title when it becomes available. And these are all, of course, for the flex borrows, not the instant borrows. The reserved hold, once the hold becomes available, it will switch to a reserved hold. And then at that point, you have a short grace period to either borrow the item or forfeit the hold. So it will not start until you officially click borrow, and then your loan period has begun. Once a hold is in the reserved hold status, however, you may snooze the hold, kind of like an alarm clock. So if you're not quite ready for the title, you can step out of line for 48 hours and let others step ahead, and then get back at the front of the line so you can check it out. And then the suspended hold is if you were on the wait list for a title, but you don't want to have the title become available before a specific period of time. So you can kind of adjust the hold, and it allows you to move up the wait list without the worry of it becoming available before you're ready. Actually, I'll mention loan lengths too. Music and binge passes on Hoopla are 7-day loans. Television and movies, so any visual medium is going to be a 3-day loan, and then ebooks and e-audiobooks are 21 days, so that 3-week, which is similar to Cloud Library and Overdrive, I believe. Oh, I'm going to exit out of this if it'll let me, and we'll take a look at Hoopla. So when you log in, this is your homepage. And it'll prompt you to create an account when you first log in, but afterwards you can just save it password in your browser and you will automatically get in. On the homepage, it'll have your instant borrows and your flex borrow credits. So you can see I have my full 4 and my full 3 remaining for the month. You can also click on the info and it'll give you some more information about those. You'll notice on the top of all of the items available, it'll have those flex or those instant borrow icons. So those are the flex ones. Let's see if there's any that are. If a flex borrow is currently out, it will say waiting at the top here. So then you know that you'll be placed in line and have to put the item on hold. All right, so there's some featured lists on the homepage. If we go to the top here and go to browse, this is where we can specify the type of content we're looking for. So if we're looking for eBooks, it's going to bring us to ebook specific lists. They even have little genres and collections that we can link into. But I want to show you the binge pass one because I think that's interesting. So these are all the different binge pass digital content that you can check out. And again, this is only one loan. But within each of these, there could be a multitude of different types of content. So you're really getting lots of bang for your buck with this binge pass. And it's called a binge pass is because you only get 7 days to go through your loan. Beside that, we have My Hoopla, and this is where we can check out what we currently have borrowed, if we have any holds, if there are title requests that we have. Favorites, you can put favorites in Hoopla as well. So if I'm being a little sporadic here. If I click into an item, you can click on the heart and that'll add it to your favorite list. So if there's titles you might want to check out later, you can always add those into that. And there's also a history tab. So any titles that you have previously checked out. Again, in the search bar, we can also specify the type of material we are looking for. So if I'm looking for audiobooks and I'm using sun as the keyword, it's only going to show me audiobooks about the sun. We can also use the advanced search function, which is just below, and get really specific with our searching by keyword, availability, release date, etc. Just going to move the screen here. Kids mode right beside the search bar. So right now it's off. It says kids off. But if we want to activate it, it wants us to put in a PIN. So this is where you would enter in a PIN and then it'll switch over Hoopla to kids mode and can only be reverted back when you type in that password. So this can be helpful for parents or those who are wanting to keep an eye on the content that maybe the youngsters are getting into. And then beside kids mode, we have our settings, and this is where you have your account settings. So you can log out from here as well. If you need to change your library, recommendations, this is interesting. So once you select genres that are you're interested in, it will actually compile some lists of different formats of materials that are recommended to you. Email, password. And then linking to a streaming device. And I think this was mentioned in the chat because this is also available for some streaming devices. Like I know the Amazon Fire Stick, you can get Hoopla on because I had it on there before. And then back to kids mode. So yeah, lots of content on Hoopla. The binge passes is one thing that makes it super unique and lots to explore. They have lots of current pop culture materials. I want to show you. Like they have all the new Taylor Swift CDs and new movies that were just in theaters that are on Hoopla as well. So very current materials. But I'm going to switch this back to whoever is next. We have Libby, I believe. Awesome.
Okay, so the big one, Libby and Overdrive. Libby is kind of like the main branch of Overdrive and is owned by Overdrive, so they kind of go together. A while back, the Overdrive app was discontinued, so now it is mainly the Libby app that patrons will be using. However, you can still access the Overdrive website, and some of the Kobos still have Overdrive support on them, which means they are still able to use that if they have an older e-reader to get books onto it. So in a nutshell, Libby and Overdrive are connecting your library card to the eResources that are purchased through Overdrive and are available within the catalog. So for us, it connects to all of Track. So it's not just YRL. We do purchasing for our libraries, and then the other regions do purchasing for their libraries, and they all come together in the catalog. So you can get many different options. So when you're searching books in the TrackPack app and you find any resource, and if it's available, you can click get it right away, and that will allow you to, actually, I will show you. Okay. Oh, here we go. So if you limit it by eBooks, name the book. So this automatically connects to Overdrive as well as Libby. If you click the get it button, it's already logged me out. I logged in 10 minutes ago. Sorry if you guys can hear someone cutting down a tree outside my window, by the way. So if it's available, you can immediately check it out. This is the eResource. This was purchased on Overdrive. You can either get it as an Adobe EPUB, or you can click Overdrive Read. Check out now. And this prompt in the TrackPack browser, if you click get it, it will open it in the Overdrive website. However, this will, if the patron has a card number that's connected to a Libby account that's already been activated, it will also automatically put it in their shelf on the Libby app. So it's all connected. There's a couple different branches, but there's a lot you can get with it. Okay, so what you can get with it is eBooks, e-audiobooks, and e-magazines. With the track card, you can get up to 10 loans and you can put 40 holds at a time. So patrons will sign in with their library card and they will enter their library. They don't have to enter Yellowhead. If they type in their library, it's connected under the Yellowhead. So that is very handy. And they can also use multiple library cards under one account, which we will come back to. So if they're members of different libraries, they're able to do that. So using the app, using Libby, loans will be automatically downloaded to their device. So the app is available on iOS and Android, as well as Fire tablets. The books and e-audiobooks automatically downloaded. Magazines, you can download an issue manually, but they won't automatically download every issue of the magazine because that would take up a very large amount of space. If they're just using the browser, so the Overdrive website, then they cannot download it. So that's the drawback of not getting the app. The app kind of has more functionality. And like I said before, you can also use Adobe EPUB, and then they can download that to Adobe Digital Editions. So some of the cooler features of Libby, if they're tired of waiting for a book, we have the Lucky Day Reads and the always available list that should be at the top of the page. These are always available for them to borrow instantly. So they don't have to wait if they're getting frustrated waiting for the Lord of the Rings audiobook. You can get something else. We also, like on Cloud Library, do create monthly lists. This is shared among the track members. So each region has a couple different months. We create seasonal lists that make sense. So this month we did Pride and Indigenous content lists. And that was done by YRL this month. And then next month, it'll be a different track regional library. We can also access the Parkland Regional Library Catalog. So this allows patrons to borrow under a different card under the same account, which means they can get an additional 10 items and place holds on an additional 50 items in the Parkland catalog and can provide access to different, I'm just going to show you access to different resources. Okay. So this is what it looks like when you have more than one card. I have 3 because I live in Edmonton, so I also have the Edmonton Public Library. But if you wanted to add a library like the Parkland, you could click add library and add it here. You can select which card you want to look at for searching. So if you want to search and track, you click the track one, and then you can type in your search. You can explore with different filters. It's pretty similar to a lot of the other eResources. Search by subject or title or author, or you can, if you're in the mood for audiobooks, you can see what's available now and that are audiobooks. Just if you want something right away. So that's another way to find what's available right away. And yeah, you can switch which card you are searching for. So if you don't find it in track, you might find it in Parkland. And that is another way to get content that might be available on a different library or you might have. Hey, please go back to my PowerPoint. Thank you. Another new feature for Libby that you might not know about is the Notify Me option. I think they added this pretty recently. So if it isn't available in track, it's not available in Parkland. If you search it, it might still show a copy if it's available for purchase in Overdrive. That just means that no one in track or Parkland has purchased it, but they do have the actual eResource available for purchase. The patron can click Notify Me, and this does 2 things. First of all, it lets people who are doing the purchasing see which popular materials patrons are interested in that they don't have. And then also, if it does get purchased, then patrons will get a notification that it's available so they can put a hold on it right away as soon as it's in the catalog, which is nice. And there is also a great help section for Libby. It walks through step-by-steps. I will just open it here. For troubleshooting, how to set up an account, devices, that's a big one for all the different e-readers. It'll give you step-by-steps for each different one. And then how to download, the different rules. It's got a lot of information here. So this is the best place to look if you get a patron who asks you a question and you do not know the answer. They have a really specific device that they're trying to use or something. That's generally one of the most common ones. But yeah, it's very thorough. It's a great resource for figuring that out. And then yes, so and then just to touch on what Jessica was talking about, the purchasing that we do through Overdrive again is track wide, but unlike some of our other e-resources, we have to purchase like individual copies, and they are quite expensive, especially audiobooks can be up $60 or more for one audiobook. And they also have limited loan specifications. So it could be 20 uses and then we do not have access to it anymore, or it could be for a year and then we lose access, just depending on what we are purchasing. So we can only purchase a certain amount of copies for each titles, which is why there might be longer lines for the more popular ones, just depending on, yeah, what patrons are interested in, where we need to fill gaps, anything like that. But yes, this is the most prolific of the eResources that we have. I think it has the most eResources on it, and it is probably the most widely used one as well. So it's a really good one to get a handle on. And I will pass it along to Laura, I believe.
Indeed. All right, so I'm just gonna go to my screen here. All right. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Read Alberta. And everybody can see my screen okay? Good. Thank you. So where this began was with the Book Publishers Association of Alberta. You might be familiar with other e-resources that we have through Read Alberta as well. I'm only going to touch upon two of those today. So at a later date, we'll talk about Accessible Alberta, which was a very recent launch, and the Prairie Indigenous Book Collection, ebook collection. Today, I'm just going to talk about the Read Alberta ebooks, as well as the magazines that are available. But the Read Alberta, pardon me, the Book Publishers Association, so BPAA, is a good starting point if you wanted to learn a little bit more about how it came about. And you can also access the actual catalogs from here as well. Conversely, again, of course, you can also find it on your local public library website. And it's just listed right here. And again, those specific collections are just within this main category within the eResources index. So we're just going to talk about Read Alberta ebooks for now. And again, I'm not logged in, but this is, you can just instantly see without even logging in to Kantuk station. And this is where it takes you. So you can automatically see any recent releases. And again, these are all going to be Canadian titles or from Alberta, even more specifically. And there is some fantastic material on this site. Again, doing a good deep dive, I was able to find a lot more than I had anticipated. And I actually am an avid reader of Canadian content. I love trying to find as much Canadian or local content as I can. So this was even more mind-blowing than I had expected it to be. So there's actually some brand new material on this list in both ebooks. And you can see here's some of the titles that are the most borrowed. But the nice thing is there's also and some of this is going to blend. So there's going to be a little bit of the Prairie Indigenous collection that's coming up here, as well as the Read Alberta, the Accessible Alberta, et cetera. But it just gives you a nice indication as to the different titles, both fiction and nonfiction. There's graphic novels here that are quite, the interface is beautiful to use and to read from, which is nice. I'm currently listening to Watershed right now, which ironically I'd been trying to find elsewhere to listen to or to read. And then ironically, I was just doing my homework to prepare for this presentation, and lo and behold, there it was. So, and it was instantly available as well. So again, another big pro to this particular resource is that, and maybe it's kind of for a negative reason, is maybe there's not enough users using this yet. But I hope that changes, because there are some really fantastic titles here. And because it's maybe not getting the traffic that it deserves quite yet, a lot of these titles are instantly available. You don't have to wait, which is really nice. And there's just a ton to choose from. So I'm just going to go into their catalog. Now, again, this is, again, a bit of a mishmash of things. Now we can narrow it down specifically to just the Read Alberta material. So, and again, it's a little bit of a blend of the magazines, and you can filter it down if you wanted to by the filter column on the left, either by language, release date, audience, as you can see. And there is material for both kids as well as adults. And there is fiction as well as nonfiction, which is nice. If you're somebody, speaking specifically to the magazine collection that they have, that really likes a lot of those local periodicals that are available, and sometimes not easy to find, not always available in libraries anymore. They're those ones that you kind of find in random spots throughout your community and you pick up, but once they're gone, and you might miss out on picking up that newest issue. Well, you can see all of them here in PDF form, which is kind of cool. Like, I really like Edify magazine, for example, and I'm not always able to find the current issue, but I can go here and immediately borrow it once I've signed in, and it's on a really nice interface that's super easy to read. I found that this is also very readable on my mobile devices as well. I didn't really have any problems trying to read any of this on my iPhone, but granted, I know that's not for everybody. Sometimes it's just not a practical way, especially for things that are quite graphic, like a graphic novel. It might not be a big enough screen, but it is an available option if you had no other option. There is going to be a variety of different lists. And again, some of these are going to be mishmashes of other collections that they have within Read Alberta. As you can see, here's the Accessible Alberta, which we're not really placing a lot of focus on today, but there will be a variety of different book lists to choose from if you wanted to see kind of what's brand new. So here in the new releases, you can see there's 52 or 58 new titles that are available. And again, it's really easy as it's as easy as just clicking borrow and signing in. So I'm just going to choose my track library. Was signed in, but it signed me out, and that's okay. So super duper quick, and it's really just a matter again of confirm loan. So if I wanted to borrow this, you can see that the loan period is for 21 days. I believe that I can also renew this if just like any other material, if there are no holds pending. And the access is great for this. It's just so easy to use. The content, I think, is fantastic. There's no lack of titles to I'll show you what one of them looks like here. Let's just read it online. I think you'd be happily surprised if you were to explore and just to see what is available on Read Alberta. I think sometimes there's this opinion that, oh, it's local stuff. There's a little bit of poo-pooing to a lot of local material, but I am often blown away and happily surprised by a lot of the titles that are coming out from Alberta authors. So definitely worth checking out if you have some time. And I think that's about all I really wanted to point out with Read Alberta. Let's see here. Let's go back to our screen. Boop. Sorry about the jumping forward. And we're pretty much at the end of the presentation. Oh, I guess I do have a slide for this. I should briefly talk about it. So 2,000 plus ebooks published in Alberta. So it really is. It's a large catalog. You can either read it online, as you saw, or you can download it to your device or to your desktop. And 40 plus Alberta magazine titles. And there's actually like a very diverse, wide selection of topics. I was quite surprised, actually. And again, you can either use an Apple app to access this. It's also available on Android. There's also a specific app that it was created by Cantuk Station called Cantuk by Aldico. And I uploaded it to my device, and that's what I've been listening to Watershed on. And so far, so good. It's been extremely easy use. So, and from there, we're at the end of our presentation and wondering if you had any questions. I know people have been furiously answering questions like Jessica in our chat. Was there any other questions that anybody had?
I don't have a question, Laura, but I don't have a question, Laura, but I do have a comment. An email just came in while you were talking. Very, very, very good timing. Read Alberta ebook collection just sent out a note to all of the subscribers, letting us know that 45 new titles were just added to the Read Alberta ebook collection, as well as the Prairie Indigenous ebook collection. So some Indigenous authors and titles, and then just some general Alberta authors. So they're always adding to it. They've also popped up some selected reading lists on recommendations for accessible reads, mystery reads, Pride Month reads, and National Indigenous History reads. So I'd have to agree with you there, Laura. Small but mighty database. And I don't know if you're all interested in it, but this is one of the few databases that is actually provided, I guess, free of charge to all Albertans through the Public Library Services branch. So we don't subscribe to this. This is your tax dollars at work. It's all your tax dollars at work, but this is offered by PLSP. So yeah, it's a great resource.
And I guess that also leads to our quick poll.
All right, I can get it going, Laura, if you'd like. So
Yes.
we have been trying to run these eResource sessions at least once a quarter with different themes. And so last quarter, we had selected this theme and then gave you at the end of the session a list of themes to select from, and you selected this one here. So the next theme will be up to you. I'll launch the poll and you can let us know what you are most interested in learning about next time. So you should see the poll here, and I'll give everyone a few seconds to have a look and make your vote. All right, I'm going to end the poll here. All right, so the winning entry is research and reference, including the Alberta Research Portal and my absolute favorite, Ancestry. I could do a whole session on Ancestry. I love that database. Very excited. So we will be running this this session in Q3 of this year. So please watch the newsletters and your other social media channels for notification when this is scheduled and ready to go. Penelope, Duncan, Laura, anything else that you want to add before we log off for the day? Thank you, everyone, for attending the session here today. Thank you for your patience as we worked out some of the technological glitches. Really appreciate that. Appreciate all of your great questions. Also your comments as well. As I was reading through the comments, I know there was a few things from folks that I actually didn't know about as well. Really love being able to share wisdom about all of these tools and products as well. Take care, and we will see you all again next time with the research and reference session. Take care.